I'm Bishop Darrell Watkins, and let's queer up trans rights. New defense bill revives anti-trans battles at military academies. Congress is moving ahead with a massive new defense policy bill that would bar transgender women from competing in sports at U.S. military academies. The 3,086-page package authorizes a record $901 billion in defense spending for 2026, $8 billion more than President Trump requested. The bill orders the Secretary of Defense to ensure that military academies do not permit anyone, quote, whose sex is male, to participate in an athletic program or activity that is designated for women or girls, end quote. Defining sex as a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth. The measure has already been negotiated by Republicans and Democrats and is headed for a White House vote, House of Representatives vote this week, leaving little room for changes. One earlier proposal blocking Defense Department funding for gender-affirming surgeries was dropped, but many other restrictions remain. A House version approved in September stated, quote, no gender transition procedures, including surgery or medication, may be provided to a minor dependent child through an EFMP, Exceptional Family Member Program, end quote. Advocates warn that each year's must-pass National Defense Authorization Act becomes a vehicle for anti-trans provisions that might not survive on their own. As Mother Jones reporters noted, the NDAA is now part of a broader, coordinated effort to limit gender-affirming care nationwide. I don't want to be, do you remember Geraldo? Do you remember Ricky Lake, which had a show? Do you remember all this? I don't want to be these people. I don't want to be just wound up and say crazy things. But for real, if you look at history, if you look at the fascist dictators of the 20th century, this is what they do. Now, if you say that, you're just completely, catastrophizing or whatever. No, you pick the most vulnerable group and you go after them relentlessly. You dehumanize them. You make their lives even more miserable than they would be otherwise. That's the game plan. How are we not seeing this? How is that we're not all screaming that this is, we're talking about barely over 1% of the population. And not everybody gets treatment. And no one gets treatment, like the day they turn 11 or whatever. I mean, this one's at 4, this one's at 16, this one's at 70. I mean, so we are talking about a non-existent situation. But by doing all this, we're making the 3 or 4 it would impact their lives miserable and making everyone else ashamed or afraid to come out, making other people be less tolerant and more cruel towards them, which is the point. Which is why this is happening in prisons, it's happening in sports, it's happening in the military, anywhere they can make this tiny vulnerable minority of people miserable. That's what they're doing, and that is completely diabolical.
It's just another page directly out of the poisonous Project 2025 playbook. This is pure Heritage Foundation. Trump isn't even smart enough to come up with something this evil. He's that stupid, but he is the puppet of Russell Vought and Kevin Roberts and their insane right-wing religious fanaticism. That is exactly what this is. This is pure Project 2025. And they warned us about it.
Well, and what's scary is, and we've talked about this before, is the wording in which they're using to classify what sex is actually hurts more than just transgender people as well. Because, I mean, if you are, it's so ambiguous. Like, it said, I want to quote it real quick, the way that they're doing this, I'm sorry, I'm taking,
It's all right.
Defining a sex as a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth. So if you have and I don't want to use the word abnormality, but if you have a genetic abnormality at birth, then what are you classified as?
Exactly.
Well, I immediately
so that's what I'm
thought
saying.
of
Like
my
it's
intersex friends
Yeah,
that
of
everybody
course.
now considers trans just because they had
correct.
It is a direct attack on intersex because
Correct.
intersex is determined by chromosomes, and they're not including that in their criteria.
Correct. So that's what I'm saying. Like the way that they're generalizing some of these things was not only going after the transgender, but it's a slippery slope, because then we start talking about, and they've already talked about, no trans people in the military anyway. So then if you're going to do that, and get that passed. And why do you need to do all the rest of the stuff? Like, just to get your money passed through.
Why would a trans person go to a military academy if they know they're not going to be allowed to join the Navy when they're finished anyway?
Right,
Correct.
Right. And the idea of the chromosomes, that would be too scientific for them. They're not interested in science. They're just interested in their own crazy ideology.
And there's, well, we can talk about that another
the term
time.
slippery slope,
Yes.
which means who's next,
Yeah.
who's next, who's next,
always
just like the
in that.
poem.
That's what you were saying. Yeah,
There's
exactly.
always an
Yeah.
Because these
They
people are
start-
next. This group is next because it started with women's reproductive rights, and they got away with that.
Right.
And then so now they're attacking everyone. They've tried a couple of times, little half-assed attempts for marriage equality. They're going to try again.
Of course.
And now this full-on assault on trans, which includes intersex, but they don't know what that is.
Right.
And so yeah, there is a next because there's always a next. If I can get away with this, then who else can I go after? Because that's the playbook.
Well, at least they changed from the word conception because they finally realized how much we were making fun of them, that they didn't know the science behind when you are conceived, you're female.
Right?
They're like, the sex you are when you're conceived. Oh, no, maybe not.
Wow.
So again,
And these
science-
are adults. These are adults who,
Okay,
enough about them for now.
that makes my heart hurt.
There is no, because you're a person. People are heartbroken over this mess. Well, there's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.